Retail buyers have thought for a long time that XRP, a cryptocurrency, is the future of financial systems. The Federal Reserve and some of the biggest banks have only recently come out and said what we've always thought. This video will tell you a lot about where this market is going in the next few years. If you're not ready, you won't be able to fully benefit from what's going to happen. Let's get started. I also have some other news to share. The banking industry is now pushing back against stablecoins and trying to undo some of the Genius Act. We need to talk about this more. I also have more news about Ripple and XRP that you need to know. Let's go. I think that in 5 years, every item that is traded often will be traded on chain. If there are $4.5 trillion in digital banks right now, I think it's pretty clear. Not going down, that number is going up. They will be able to use stocks, bonds, and other standard capital markets instruments. They will also be able to use funds made by companies like Franklin and BlackRock. They will be able to use ETFs. They'll be able to access model accounts that are on the blockchain. All they have to do is press a button and everything will happen automatically and be balanced again. I think it's a matter of when these things will happen, not if, but when. I think that all of these different financial tools will be on chain, not if. I did want to show you something from a past video that I think you will find useful. Let me just pull this up and put it in place. Look at this. In other words, this is a great example of how much value there really is. Home prices, you got about $654 trillion. Global stocks are worth $145 trillion. There are 120 trillion global notes. Treasuries are worth $28.6 trillion. 12.3% money market funds, $14 trillion, $338 trillion. Of course, the world's futures market is bigger than $1 quadrillion. Take a look at how much has already been tokenized. In the last few years, only a few $1 billion worth of value has been tokenized. But in the next 5 to 10 years, the value would be billions, if not quadrillions of dollars worth. What do you think will happen to the things that this value is put on as tokens? That's what I've been trying to say. If you own some of these crypto assets, all of this value worth trillions of dollars will be lived on and traded on. That is the future network of the financial system. And if you own a crypto asset that represents that value, you now have a piece of the financial future. Now you see how big this is. This is why people are ready to risk everything on the crypto market. On the crypto market, everything is very risky, and every day people lose everything. This is especially true when you use leverage and more meme-type tokens. And I really wanted to talk about XRP, which is my favorite coin of all time. Go talk to a financial advisor if you need help in the crypto business, guys. Right now, let's talk about the bank. How dare you earn higher interest yield on crypto exchanges versus the BS interest that banks pay you, is something that Tony Edwards says they are starting to say out loud. This issue is getting worse. Have fun with it. In fact, I think we're making great progress in showing why this is an important problem. And it's not about reopening a case that has already been decided. At the end of the day, this is about making sure banks can continue to help their neighborhoods and keep the economy going. Would let exchanges like Coinbase and Kraken charge interest on safe coins used for payments? That really doesn't make sense. One idea behind a payment stablecoin is that it should be used to pay for things, not to keep value. But two, this clear law that Congress made that we've already talked about that bans these things. I don't know, so there's. How are you, Jess? It seems like things are moving in a good direction. Oh no! Look, I agree with you 100%. This fight doesn't seem easy to me. The other side has a group that is very well equipped. That's how it is. We have, however, broken through again. The point we're making is not just what's good for banks. It's about what's good for neighborhoods. Banks take payments and lend the money to people. That's what we do. Not as many savings also mean not as many loans. Of course, most Congresspeople know that's not a good thing. They don't want to have to choose between friends, but they also don't want to hurt the neighborhood either. Wait a minute, please. Loans will still happen, but they'll only be done through DeFi and blockchain lines, right? People will still need to be able to get money. People are still going to buy homes. Things like this will only happen outside of banks. Now, I do see why both sides are worried. Banks are afraid that users will leave and take a lot of their money with them, on-chain. If assets are going to be stored on a blockchain anyway, that seems like the way of the future. However, banks have had the chance for a long time to give people what they deserve when it comes to interest rates on their savings and checking accounts. Banks purposely offer higher rates to customers with higher net worth. while the rest of the retail market gets whatever they offer. I can see why people are annoyed and tired of this. If your bank offers 0.5% and a crypto stablecoin offers 8%, that's a 7.5% difference. That's $7,500 for every $100,000. That's 75 grand a year on $1 million. If someone makes $75,000 a year, they can live. This is where banks will have trouble. When the Genius Act was being written, banks had a seat at the table. Now that this bill has been put forward, they are trying to go back on it. Both sides have a lot of money. The winner will be who? What does that mean for Bitcoin and DeFi? That's still uncertain to me, but I did a lot of study on it. Going to add this to the text so that you can read it if you want to learn more about this subject. After the Federal Reserve governor spoke yesterday, there is now another conversation going on. This is an interview with Eleanor Tarrant that talks about a lot of the same things we just talked about. I'll play this now. You should be able to give or get something in return. For the T-bills and money market funds that you own, you should be able to give some of that to your buyers. It's not a way to put money. It's not like a time deposit where you keep it to make interest, right? You're not keeping money because it will earn you money. To let you pay interest, Congress should have just said, let's pay interest. So trying to get around it is a bit strange. It's not meant to be interesting. At that point, I'm not in charge of deciding if that's Congress's job or not. For that reason, I don't want to think about having to pay interest on these accounts. It's not meant to be an account where someone can hold stable coins and make interest. It's not being held to earn interest. That means it's a claim against the banks. The banking system can't be taken apart, but you can take apart a bank. You have no right to ask for funds. You can't go to the bank. Treasury notes are what I want. They will tell you no and give you $1. This is what you get. Eleanor Tarrant has worked really hard for many years now. I've seen her get bigger. Now she's talking to someone from the Federal Reserve Board. Man, I'm so proud of her. You go, girl. Get out there for the neighborhood and keep spreading the word. Wow, that was amazing. From a digital point of view, Brad Keim did add something. In the US repo market, he said, "We are changing gears. If you're hearing in the car and not looking at the screen, I just wanted to let you know that we're going to talk about the repo market for a bit." In the US, Brad Keim says the repo market is worth $12 trillion. It buys Hidden Road and G Treasury to help settle the over $2.4 trillion DTCC market and the $12 trillion US repo market as well. There's no reason for him to bring up this post, which says that nobody really knows or did know how big the US repo market is. This is about what you're seeing here after going through the appendices and 10 years of yearly reports. In fact, I do know that every day, trillions of dollars settle on the debt market. You start to think about what benefits Ripple and XRP could bring to that market as a whole to help settle that value much more quickly and cheaply. Ripple and XRP would likely see a huge price increase if they were used to settle the full $12 trillion US repo market. This is because of the urgent need for deep, reliable liquidity. The current XRP market cap multiplier says that even small inflows related to real transaction settlement volumes could cause big price increases, but it depends on how much operational demand there is and how much liquidity is available. A thorough study by the Federal Reserve found that the US repo market had a gross value of $12 trillion by 2024. Compared to global settlement flows and other financial infrastructures, this number is huge. This means that any bridge asset that was supposed to help with these payments would have to take in and quickly clear huge amounts of capital. And I just made a movie about this, and a lot of people say that you can use XRP 100,000 times every day. In all honesty, that is true. XRP can be used over and over again, but it will be needed all over the world in all of these different systems and lines. You won't be able to use this XRP as many times as you think if you keep it in different banks. The price of XRP can really go through the roof in the next few years. Does say that new models show that when there isn't a lot of money in the market, capital moves have a